Welcome to this edition of the Mayor's Report for the City of Pleasanton. I'm your host, Sblend Sblendorio. With me today is the Mayor of Pleasanton, Jerry Thorne. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you, Sblend.
And I know that you have a special guest with you today. Would you like to introduce her?
I do have a very special guest. We have our Deputy Assistant City Manager, Pam Ott, who is our liaison with the business world. And she does a fantastic job of helping the businesses during this crisis. So I've asked her to be here today to talk a little bit about what we're doing for businesses and what employers can expect.
All right, great. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you.
But first, let's turn back to you, Jerry, and talk about what you'd like to talk about. What would you like to share with our viewers today?
Well, I know Pam's going to be talking a lot about business a little bit later in the program, but one thing I did want to point out is that if you go to the city's website, we have a list of all the businesses that are actually open for business. And it's more than just restaurants that are doing delivery and curbside pickup. There are a number of businesses that are doing business virtually, and you can get products and services from a number of different businesses that way. So we need to keep supporting our local businesses because some of them are really suffering through this pandemic.
Thank you, Jerry. Anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think that's it. I would talk a little bit about civic services, I believe.
All right, let's turn to that, Jerry. And even though we're sheltering in place and we're not supposed to be out that much, but there are needs. The citizens of Pleasanton do have needs. They have to get permits and get licenses. How is that working with the city? Can you provide some explanation?
Now, well, during this shelter-in-place order, the city does have limited building inspection services available. Generally, what you need to do is you need to get an appointment for what we call allowable projects. And I'll get into some detail about what an allowable project is. But you need to call 925-931-5300 and get an appointment. And building inspections will generally be done virtually with an iPhone or an iPad. So that's the way you have to go about getting a building inspection. Residential construction is permitted only in certain cases, and those cases generally revolve around whether or not the project is for safety, health, and habitability. And if somebody's home is not habitable, you certainly want to fix it. So we can do those kinds of projects. And let me give you some examples of what they might be. Include securing electrical and gas service or lighting and heating. You can actually have a water heater installed if your water heater has gone out, or you can do plumbing for sanitation, and even a roof repair if you have a need for a roof repair or you got a leaky roof or whatever. Windows and doors can actually be put in if it's for safety reasons and security reasons, or just to give you a reasonable access for ingress and egress. But I think, Splend, I think a lot of this is just common sense. I mean, what makes people healthy, safe, and makes their dwellings habitable are the things that you have to think about. For example, let me just give you an example. If you've got a bathroom that is halfway through a remodel and you don't have any other alternative, you need to have that completed. I mean, you can't just go without it. But the one key is, I think most houses here in Pleasanton do have a second bathroom. So if you have an alternative, then the project's not allowable. Like I say, it's just common sense.
Well, I would imagine, jumping on the commercial, Jerry, I would imagine that if you had a roof open, you probably should enclose it. I mean, we don't know how much more rain we're going to get this season, but you probably wouldn't want it to get rained on and ruin all the work that's been done up to that point.
Absolutely, and that's the kind of thing that we'd be looking for to determine whether or not it's an allowable project. Okay. But under commercial, it's a very limited inspection services that we're doing, and these are for the ones that we're doing are for essential businesses, and it's actually more than just restaurants. You also have the medical facilities that are essential businesses. So if there's a repair for maintenance or safety for some of those kinds of facilities, then we can do those. Plan reviews, we're only accepting digital plans, and they'll be forwarded to a consultant, and the consultant will distribute them after they've been reviewed. And we'll only issue permits for approved types of projects. Other residential and commercial projects will be processed and reviewed, but the permit may not be issued until this pandemic shelter in place is over. The city is also accepting electronic planning applications at this time, and our staff continues to be available to answer questions about zoning, land use and development, etc. Lastly, engineering is only accepting engineering application permits for emergencies related to health and safety associated with sewer, water, and utilities. The best way to access these services is by our website. That's on the city's website, www.cityofpleasantonca.gov, and look for the Planning and Permit Center and Engineering pages. Those pages have detailed forms and very detailed instructions on how to use them and how to get service from that part of our community.
Now, Jerry, let me ask you, if a resident of Pleasanton sees what they consider an emergency repair, maybe a pothole or a tree that has a branch dangling, how should they get a hold of the city?
Just call the main number, and they will direct you to the right place. And I would use the 931-5300 number.
All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, let's bring in Pam. During the shelter in place, there's lots of rules regarding what's an essential or non-essential business. Pam, can you educate us on what are the rules on an essential business operating in the city?
Right. Thank you, Sblend, and thanks, Mayor, for having me today. You're absolutely right, Sblend. There are so many rules and regulations that our businesses and our community have to follow as well. So as you referenced, on March 31st, Alameda County revised its order and made social distancing requirements mandatory for essential businesses, and required those essential businesses to effectively scale down their operations to only that essential component. And for those essential businesses that are still open, they have to do a number of different things. They have to post a sign at each of their locations advising customers and other employees what their social distancing protocols might be. So this won't be a surprise to anybody who's done any grocery shopping in the last couple of weeks. You've gone to Safeway or to whatever store you choose to go to, and you've seen the tape on the ground ensuring that folks stay 6 feet apart. You've seen many of our stores metering how many people can get into the store at the same time. And those are all the results of these social distancing protocols that these businesses have had to put into place. And then you add on to that the efforts that these businesses have to take to make sure their employees are safe as well, right? From periodic sanitizing to disinfecting and other particular measures related to social distancing and good hygiene. And so it's just really a lot for businesses to take on. And I know that in my role at the city, we've spent a lot of time communicating with individual businesses and with our partner organizations like the Pleasanton Downtown Association or the Chamber to say, let's get in front of your members and make sure that they all know what the rules are so that they're all in compliance with the Alameda County order.
Well, thank you, Pam. Let's unfortunately, some of our businesses are closed or they're barely open. Are there any resources that the city has or can point them to, whether it's on a state or federal level, to help them in this time?
So Sblend, let me answer your question in a couple different ways. One of them is to say that the City of Pleasanton has stood up several different web pages, all designed to support our businesses and share those resources and that information. Includes federal, state, local resources, and that's both to lending programs or more appropriately, how businesses can get financial assistance, or it might be a link to the Tri-Valley One-Stop Center where they can direct their search for employees, or they can direct their employees that they've had to limit hours or furlough to go get more assistance in getting another job. And so lots to cover on those web pages. And I would just encourage businesses to look at the City of Pleasanton's website and go to those business support pages.
All right, thank you, Pam. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on this edition of the Mayor's Report for the City of Pleasanton. And we're here with our guest, Pam Ott, the Economic Development Director for the city, and of course, our Mayor, Jerry Thorne. Welcome back to this edition of the Mayor's Report for the City of Pleasanton. We are here talking with Mayor Jerry Thorne and his special guest, Pam Ott, Director of Economic Development and Community Engagement for the City of Pleasanton. Let's jump back to Pam. And Pam, could you point our viewers to the city's webpage for resources for businesses who are looking for some funding or financing?
Thanks, Sblend. I mentioned a few minutes ago that the city has created several web pages designed to show businesses where they can get resources for support during COVID-19. And among that information on those websites are very detailed links and information about the federal programs, SBA loans, anything that's offered at the state level, from business continuity, access resources to unemployment information as well, both for businesses and employees as well. So we are doing our best every day to stay abreast of what information is new and what resources are pushed out, and make sure that those are updated on our website. We also include webinars that we've seen a lot of our local businesses offer to their fellow businesses here in the City of Pleasanton and the Tri-Valley. And so again, at the city's website, cityofpleasantonca.gov, you'll be brought automatically to the COVID pages, and then you can just scroll looking for business support. It's all right there for everybody to access.
Well, thank you, Pam, for mentioning especially one part of our community that is probably suffering more than the rest, and that's folks that have been now unemployed. And what kind of resources does the city have to help our citizens that just have had the bad luck?
Right. Thanks, Sblend, for the question. Much like any other community, the city doesn't directly have resources to support residents that might have been laid off. But again, we are collecting all of those links and all of those resources that we can bring to bear to provide them the information that they need. As you know, that there's part of the Federal CARES Act, the government has been issuing an additional $600 and unemployment benefit payments. The state has been doing everything that they can to process the unemployment applications as quickly as possible and push that information out to our residents. And then really just accessing other local resources like the Tri-Valley Career Center, or the activities that we've seen other businesses provide, webinars, other links that they can just really utilize to share that information broadly across the community. You know, I will say, Sblend, I think this is really at the core of what hurts so much for all of our communities here in the Tri-Valley and in Pleasanton. The fact that these are the people that we work with, we recreate with, we socialize with, and it's just an incredibly painful time when we know that these members of our community, both on the employee side and then on the business side, aren't able to do the work that they need to do and support each other. It just is really heartbreaking to see. And so we're going to do everything we can, at least in terms of providing all of the resources that we can.
Well, thank you. And those are all been put up on the website, the city's website, correct, Pam?
Absolutely. All there for people to utilize.
All right. Thank you, Pam. Let's get back to the mayor and talk about the shelter-in-place order and how the city is enforcing that shelter-in-place order. And Jerry, have you seen any problems with enforcement?
Yeah, let me just say, first of all, that as soon as we got the shelter-in-place order, we closed all of our buildings to the public, with one exception. We did keep open the lobby to the police department for obvious reasons. But many people may not know that all of our employees in the city are considered to be essential employees. And they also have an additional designation as disaster service workers, which kind of puts them at the next level. Most of our people are working from home virtually, at least everybody that we can let work at home. But of course, there's some that have to be out there, people that maintain water and sewer and things that are essential to human life, actually. And of course, our very, very great, and I can't tell you how pleased I am with our fire and police departments right now, because they're out there on the front line and they never know what they're going to be walking into. So I'm really proud of those guys, but they're doing a terrific job. Our PD is uh, dealing with complaints that they get from people who see businesses that are open that shouldn't be, they don't think they should be. And we're going through a process we call windshield visits, which basically just visits a business that might be open that shouldn't be. And we can just do a little education. We haven't done any enforcement that you normally think of by the PD. But uh, one of the bigger issues that we've been having is that people that are using city parks and not doing the social distancing that they should be. As you are probably aware, our kids are going through uh, quite an issue right now. They have to going to school from home. They have to shelter in place. So when we get out on a park, they have a little problem with the social distancing. So we've had to shut down our playgrounds, and we've also shut down some other park facilities. But you can still go out and get exercise, fresh air, and walk on our trails, and that sort of thing. And I think that's kind of the way where we are right now with the shelter in place with the city itself.
All right, thank you, Jerry. But let's focus on a particularly vulnerable segment of your citizens. That's seniors. Um,
Right.
how are they getting what they need? How are they getting groceries? How are they getting their medications? Are there services out there that can help them?
Yes, there are, Splend. We've kept a number of the services for our seniors open. The senior center itself is closed essentially, but what's happening is that Meals on Wheels are still operable, and we have our paratransit service is still operable. Unfortunately, it's only for grocery visits and medical visits. And I would imagine if you can't get your medications delivered, they could probably help you with that. But Meals, as I indicated, Meals on Wheel is continuing to deliver meals. And the Open Heart Kitchen is actually fixing lunch for our seniors every day. And they're making them available for pickup at the senior center. You can on curbside. And actually, we got up to 90 lunches. I think it was just yesterday. And so they're really taking advantage of it. But residents 60 plus who would like to inquire about all the services that are available, they can call 925 931 5340 directly, and our staff is available to help them find the services that they might need.
And likewise, Jerry, if some other citizens would like to volunteer to help with the delivering to the seniors, are there opportunities available?
They sure are, and Meals on Wheels is a good example. And you would do that through the Spectrum Community Services. I don't have a phone number for them right offhand, but if you call that 931 5340, they can get you in touch with them.
All right,
And I
great.
know that they were, at least at one point in time, they were looking for people, a little help in delivering meals.
Okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about going back. Not necessarily, we understand the parks are closed, but well, there are hiking. There are regional parks where you can do hiking. How's that? Have you seen people out there hiking? And also talk to us a little bit about what the library is able to provide in terms of its virtual resources.
Okay, yeah, I think people have been doing a pretty doggone good job of the social distancing with their hiking and walking and biking and that sort of thing. We would ask that people wear a face mask when they're engaged in those kinds of activities. That's the one thing that's been a little bit short, is having people wear the face mask when they're using the trails and what have you. But as far as our library and recreation center, our virtual library and recreation center is just that. It's all virtual right now. And they're doing programs through our staff that they've created and put together. Everything from virtual story time by our librarians, and even in various languages like Spanish, Russian, Hindi, and even more to come. In celebration of Citizen Science Month for April. We're actually giving people an opportunity to participate in research projects. One of the most interesting that I found was actually working with what was the name of that? Oh, the Smithsonian Institute, and actually transcribing some of the historical documents for them. And there are also other research opportunities that they can get through the library. One of them, it was even taking pictures of bugs in your yard. I mean, that's part of a research project, or naming as many trees as you can around the city. But also, lastly, join us with the Harrington Library's Gallery, the first virtual online exhibition featuring the works of over 90 local artists. And they'll be doing this during the shelter in place, and explore the virtual gallery through May 29th by visiting firehousearts.org/gallery/art-in-place.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Now let's finish up with some messaging from you to the citizens on keeping up the good pace, keeping up the social distancing, and that we're going to get through this, if you don't mind.
We're all in this together, and I hope that our citizens will continue to support our local businesses. They certainly need the support. I think sheltering in place and wearing face masks when you're out, and making sure that you avoid direct contact with folks. All of the things that you've heard so much about, and you can see on our website. If you go to the city's website, the first thing that pops up on the website is all the things that you can do during this pandemic. And I want to compliment our citizens. I think they're doing a very good job. I think as of last night, we only had 48 cases in the city of Pleasanton. That's one of the highest in the Tri-Valley, unfortunately. But I think overall, the entire Tri-Valley is doing a really good job of preventing this thing from spreading.
Well, looks like we're going to be shelter in place probably for another couple of weeks. And those are good words, Jerry. And thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Pam Ott, the Economic Development Director for the City of Pleasanton. And once again, thank you for updating us. And thank you for joining us on this edition of the Mayor's Report for the City of Pleasanton. Join us for the next episode of the Mayor's Report right here on Tri-Valley TV. I'm your host, Sblend Sblendorio. Thanks for joining us.